Hey, here's a list of scientific discoveries that were later proven wrong using religion. You ready?
Get Into Gate, this is episode 52. We're talking demons. This is the full Get Into Gate crew. My name is Mitch. Joining me, as always, Matty Gibson.
Hello.
Brendan Gibson.
Hello.
And rounding out the Gibsons, Rhys.
Present.
What's doing, boys? We are here to talk about Demons, Season 3, Episode 8. Let's refer to the DVD then and have a look at the synopsis for this episode. SG-1 encounters a medieval civilization and frees a woman tied to a stake as a sacrifice to a demon. With the woman freed, the demon vows to destroy the village unless the SG-1 team is offered up in appeasement. Ooh.
That's kind of accurate.
It is accurate. It's the most accurate one in quite some time. And O'Neill, nowhere to be heard from in that synopsis, which is interesting. So clearly Richard Dean Anderson wasn't there on the day they wrote it.
No Walter either,
Well,
obviously.
Yes. Again, I've forgotten what to do.
So we've got another... we seem to have had like a Woods Deloise show, tit for tat, in the last few weeks, I've noticed.
Yeah, I feel like they've noticed, like, okay, these guys get it.
Yeah.
They get it. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Let's just, And I did... we might play it. We probably won't have time to do it this one, but I know there is upcoming one of the special features. Michael Shanks talks about early on. He one of his favorite things to do was just to watch directors just lose their minds on like day 3 because I think they were just doing like a normal TV show, and by like day 3 they'd already be like 12 hours behind schedule, and they'd be like, and then literally they play a little shot of a director going, "Yeah, let's just print the run through. That was fine. We don't have time, so let's just keep going." So I feel like when they find a director that can keep up and can produce good product, they're like, let's just,
give it to them.
Get them back.
You can have 200 episodes.
Get it done.
And I feel like in the case of Martin Wood and Peter DeLuise too, they be the one like slowing things down or derailing it or sending everyone a little bit loopy rather than having it happen to them.
Yeah,
so.
DeLuise is like, well, where can I fit in my cameo and the giant pineapple?
Yeah. Okay, everybody ready? Keep going.
Yeah, and Wood is like, well, where can I fit a wrench? Like, where can I put a giant wrench in the,
I'll show you.
Yeah, you won't like it, buddy. Was it just me, or was that a Dr. Evil reference in the beginning?
Yeah, super early up.
I mean, I didn't realise until he put the pinky finger to his mouth.
This path is well traveled, which means the Stargate is still in use by someone. Or something.
I guess we
waiting.
knew what RDA did on the weekend before they started shooting this.
I thought you were going to do the...
Totally should have.
Yeah, way to show me up. Thanks, guys.
That's when I actually had to go back to the DVD and actually and check when this episode came out, because of course we're in nearly midway through season 3. Of course it came out in 1999, but for me it sort of reminded me this show started a lot later than what I think about when I think about SG-1. I think about it as being a predominantly 90s show. I'm watching it going, this is a classic 90s TV series.
Gilmore Girls hadn't even started when this show aired.
Oh my God.
Right? I mean,
right?
Roseanne
Jeez.
had, though.
Yeah, I think it was almost done by then.
Yeah. But most of SG-1 takes place
Was that the end of the
2000s.
Roseanne jokes? Because that's got nothing. That's it.
He's used to it.
Been
He's used to it.
flogged to death.
Let's even think that way.
We'll come up with something new. And
Mate, you're watching Star Trek, so it's something. Give it 6 months, you'll be asking for my Roseanne DVDs, I bet you.
Oh.
it's
she
like
in it?
it's like a Star Trek is a gateway show to Roseanne.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, I'm the only one in this room who's ever watched Star Trek, and then having known me for like 2 years, now Brendan's like watched 2.5 of the shows. So I'm like, I'm a bad influence on everybody, so I'm saying in 6 months' time...
We've all seen Roseanne.
You just don't own the DVDs, that's all. We're just going to have an intervention for Brendan, like, in a couple of seasons.
This has gotten out of hand, okay?
This is, look, you're
Go on,
watching...
Mitch, play it, I know you want
Nobody has watched season 1, episode 1 of Roseanne.
Yeah. That's one. Yeah, that is a kind of a... When they come through the gate, that is a bit of a classic British Columbia... The opening scene there was like the Scorched Earth one from season 4, that hill.
Oh, was it?
Is the exact location, yeah.
I saw, yeah, Pine Forest.
I mean, yeah, it's just a hill with trees, but distinctive.
But I remember that tree.
But they said, this path leads down to the village, which is 11 miles away.
11 clicks,
All right, 11
mate.
clicks.
That's 11 miles, isn't it?
Nah, it's kilometres.
Oh. Okay, which was 11 kilometers away.
Would I be correct in saying there was a first, I think not too long after that little Dr. Evil reference, and we see our first CGI creature this show has given us through 2 and a bit seasons?
The little lizard.
Little lizard. Yeah, sort of they come up
reckon it could
over
be.
the ridge and you see what they refer to as a church in the village, and there was like this little lizard. So for me, it was like, there's a Dr. Evil reference. I'm like, oh, and they've been watching the prequels too, because obviously episode 1 came out that year. It's like, just shove in a CGI creature.
Yeah.
They're all the
There's
rage at the
nothing there.
moment.
It's like, oh, we've got a spare 20 grand in the budget. Let's just have a little lizard crawling over a lawn.
Yeah, like...
For no reason
absolutely.
I
whatsoever.
love it how you
reason.
say the prequels, and then we all knew immediately what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, it's Get Into Geek.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Rhys.
Yeah,
Oh, he got it.
No, he didn't.
I got it.
Oh, okay.
Just
You went
asking
calm
an somewhat off the topic question. To what percentage do you think the prequels, being Star Wars, have impacted the word prequel since 1999? So whenever you hear the word prequel, people go, "Oh God!" Is it how much of that is because of the way that the Star Wars prequels?
Well, for me, it's a huge factor because then I think of Star Trek Beyond, prequel.
No,
Stargate Origins,
even before
prequel.
even before that, Star Trek did Enterprise into like
Yeah.
2001, 2002,
Yeah.
and that was a prequel, and that
Yeah.
was when I was first like, oh, prequel.
and then Star Wars didn't learn because they did they did Rogue One, and now they're going to do Han Solo. I'm like, no one wants prequels unless
I
it's
like
old.
Rogue One.
Old. I enjoyed the last 5 minutes, but unless it's Knights of the Old Republic, I don't care anymore. It's
well,
just,
we might be getting that. New
I hope
trilogy
so.
coming the way from Rian Johnson, director of Last Jedi. So
can only hope.
can it be? Can it be?
Not
Old
keen on
Republic.
this fucking Han Solo.
No way. It's
No.
lame.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I'll watch it.
oh, obviously.
I'll pay my $22 to watch it.
Yeah.
But I won't enjoy it.
Be happy about it.
My God, I won't.
And then we go into the village, and I don't think you would catch up on this, Rhys, because you didn't watch Korai, but it's fucking old mate from
Hanno.
Korai.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm like, really? I didn't like you last time, and now you come out going,
Yeah.
wooden cross.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll hold
would
this
you-
up for 5 minutes, and I get the fucking thing out of my fucking face. I hate your face. Get that out of my face.
Yeah,
Not
the
a
last,
vampire,
the last
mate.
time we saw him, Rhys, he was trying to have Tilt killed.
Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of getting him killed, he fucking died in this one.
Wasn't that bizarre?
Oh, he didn't die.
Well, he did,
Theoretically.
and then he did, and then his symbiote brought him back to life.
He
You're
went
wrong.
into a deep state of Kelno Reem.
Yeah, no, yeah. fair
And from now on, he's never in a state of Kelno Reem. He's in a deep state of Kelno Reem.
Well, isn't that when you hit the deepest point of meditation for him?
Yeah.
Oh, it
so
is,
now
yeah,
he's like
pretty
deep,
much.
deep.
Yeah.
So
Like, so deep.
He's going
Like-
deep,
like he
deep,
was-
deep undercover.
like I'm talking like balls.
Yeah, balls deep into meditation.
Well, he's a Jafar.
Going back to that gecko reference, Mitch. The only reason I thought that was interesting is because it's RDA's production company is Gecko.
Oh, of course. Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know if that was meaningful or not. Probably.
See, he didn't get in the synopsis, but it's like shoving a little bit of subliminal, subtle messaging about my production company in there. It's going to cost us 20 grand. I don't give a shit what it's going to cost, boy.
It ain't my money. Oh wait.
Yeah.
And then the bloody Unas. Hey?
Voiced
Back-
by...
Yeah, I did not even realize that until the end credits. So I'm like, what? Christopher
Just you're
Judge?
terrible with people's voices, though, aren't you?
Well, you know, I take them at face value. Now,
So I have a little bit of an issue with this because
religion?
Yeah, I was going to say.
I haven't got to that yet.
They say the word Christian.
Wait for it.
My
wait for it.
God, that is a full notebook, this
Yeah.
episode.
It
That's
really
why,
is.
That's why I've been quiet over here, because I'm just waiting for
Yeah.
him to unleash. I'm like, I don't need to do anything until next week, really. I mean,
Well, Daniel says this is a medieval culture, so they must have used the Antarctic Gate, which I really have an issue with the timeline.
yeah, I call BS on that.
I didn't go through it. Really, I didn't research it, but I just find that strange because there was if we go back to Solitudes, there is a frozen Jafar or a serpent guard, as Carter calls it. We're just assuming it was some kind of Jafar, but the last time that would have been used was before the Egypt Gate was buried. I would have assumed because it was older.
Yeah, I always just assumed that serpent guard they found was just like Ra knew about the other gate,
Yeah.
didn't want to use it because it wasn't near the pyramids and couldn't be asked moving it, so had some guards there guarding it.
I always thought it was before Ra even came to Earth. I always thought it was the original one.
Yeah, well, how would the serpent... Well, the serpent guards couldn't have been Ra's then. They would have had to be someone else's, which I guess leads credence to this, that,
Yeah,
someone else
I guess
came
so.
through afterwards.
But I mean, the
So-
medieval times, when was that? Like 600-700 years ago?
Yeah.
So it was still Antarctica then. So I doubt they would have had the gate on Antarctica. Obviously,
Jack
they could have
says-
moved it, but
Jack says later on in the episode, Daniel, how long have these people been living like this? 1,000 years? And he says, at least.
yeah.
Yeah, some...
So unless they've just come to this new world and got to the medieval understanding of
That's
religion
where
by
I had
themselves.
always had the issue with the other cultures other than Egypt, because
Or the Unas,
Because
sorry to
of-
interrupt, the Unas, I just remembered whether the Unas come in and said, this is religion, I'm the devil, sort your shit out or I'll eat you.
Ooh, I like
okay.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I
I had
like
the
that.
same. The issue is like, oh, well, Christianity kind of is more recent than ancient Egyptian mythology. So it's like, yeah, how would this culture, if they were taken from Earth? I like the idea that the Unas...
Because it is
Created
the
that, yeah.
Goa'uld, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they obviously did
well,
their research
Sokar,
on...
which is supposed to be the devil incarnate.
Yeah, so they've done their research on the Egyptian gods and then obviously done research
Yeah.
on the
Well,
Christian god.
if the Unas are, the Goa'uld's first hosts, maybe back then it was they had the, what do they call it, the monodeity thing, where it was just a god and Satan kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then as they've progressed and discovered, worked on this whole Egyptian motif that's then taken off. So yeah, I like that. Yeah.
What sort of timeline have we been working with? The Egyptian gate was lost to the Goa'uld, buried by the ancient
5,000
5,000
years.
years ago.
Yeah, so
Million bajillion years.
because that's just where I got lost. Yeah, like that. Yeah, it's been buried. So essentially, the Tauri Earth has been lost to the rest of the galaxy for 5,000 years.
There's an actual date at the end of season 8. Jack and Daniel are talking about it, and Daniel says, the rebellion that led to Raleigh the Gate was 3,000 BC.
Yeah, right.
3,000 BC.
Yeah,
So-
what's Christianity like? At best, it's about what 1600.
What year is it?
Well, yeah, but they reckon even as a religion, like it didn't really pick up for a couple of hundred years.
It was
after.
the Bible was written 500 years after Jesus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, it
Yeah.
wasn't.
It was.
It was in the beginning of time.
Yeah.
yeah. They started keeping a notebook, obviously.
Yeah.
Look,
Like,
the Bible is hearsay. It would
Yeah.
not hold up in a court of law.
Yeah, they swear on it
Yeah.
in a court of law.
Swear on the Bible? Yeah.
So anyway, I don't want to bang on this too much.
I'm not to
Oh, you
shit
do,
on,
but you...
not to shit on religion.
But at one point there, Teal'c goes, "I do not believe that a Goa'uld could reach the benevolence of your god." And Jack goes, "What, like God? That's a bit what, far fetched or something?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a stretch." I'm like, why is that a stretch? Like if you
No,
look at
everything Jack says about religion is tongue in cheek.
I'd hope so, given that he gave it to Kinsey back in season 1
Yeah,
when,
that's true.
Kinsey was going on about how God's going to save them
Yeah.
from the Goa'uld.
There's
and,
only one God, son.
and you think, God is going to save them. Like, he was really
Yeah.
dismissive of that.
Yeah.
I did have a bit of a nitpick about this episode, just in terms of there's a bit of a plot hole for me. And, so, just for townspeople. So, they think Teal'c is a demon. And they're quite happily to put him through all these tasks and all that sort of stuff and kill him and all that sort of stuff.
racist.
But they get, well, there kind of is, because it's like, well, why don't they do that with the Unas? The Unas isn't Satan. The Unas is a demon.
yeah,
And they think Teal'c is a demon the same as the Unas because he bears the mark. And Simon does say very early on, it's like, oh, when the Unas comes, that's the demon coming in its true form. So it's like, it was weird to me that all the townspeople were happy to bind together and rise up and capture Teal'c and put him through all these things and all that sort of stuff. But they never thought to do that when the Unas comes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just found that a weird, why be scared of one and not scared of the other?
A plot hole that I didn't get was the SG1 team said, "Oh, we'll kill the Unas and then we'll go home and then you bury the gate." And I'm like, why don't you just go home and then get them to bury the gate
Yeah.
without killing the Unas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would solve the whole fucking issue.
Yeah, because Carter said it's like, oh, it's going to take years for a ship to get there. At which point, you think Gould would go, oh, it's just one planet. It's really not worth the trip.
What's the point?
Like, I mean, it's not worth the miles.
And then, regardless if they kill the Unas or not, a ship's probably going to come anyway. So why go through the hassle of trying to kill it? I mean, sure, you want to put a TV show out, but...
Jack just has a thing with Unas. He just likes killing them. he just really likes
chuck
killing
another one up.
But how does Carter know where the Goa'uld are? Well, they could have outposts. You know what I mean?
She can feel them,
Joel and I told her.
Nailed it.
Oh, yeah, she made a bloody appearance this episode as well, didn't she?
Yeah,
right
she
at
saved
the
the
end.
day right at the end, yeah.
Oh, the Goa'uld went into him. I can feel it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then they killed him. The Goa'uld didn't heal him. And then Carter just runs straight over to him to give the Goa'uld a chance to jump into her. Like,
yeah.
Come on.
I don't get the cannon guy. Like, was he in on it? Like, I don't.
Oh, you just like the power.
But then, like, he had the Goa'uld technology ring with the thunderbolt.
And what was that?
Yeah,
What was that? Was that a satellite or something?
It have to be.
When he first started doing that, I'm like, oh shit, he got that off the Asgard.
Yeah.
Like that's Thor. That lightning and bloody.
Yeah, but then Carter said it felt like a Zat blast. Like, it looked like lightning, but it felt like a Zat blast. And I feel like that's the perfect kind of Goa'uld technology to make them look like they're gods, to make these people fear by, because most people think, by running a hand over a ring is not gonna, make thunder come and lightning come down from the sky. So it's like they can call this lightning from the sky and look like gods when it's actually just technology.
Yeah,
but I don't understand where that ring came from. Obviously, it's been handed down from canon to canon, but it's like, well, what is that? Just leftover tech? Why would the demon let him have it? Ironically, there's a great episode of Stargate Atlantis featuring the same actor who plays the cannon
across the universe,
where they're in cahoots with the Wraith, and they have like all these prisoners on like a prison island where the Stargate is, and the Wraith come through and take all the prisoners that are on there. And the guy who runs the nice part of the world, he totally knows what's happening. Like no one else on the planet knows that the people on that island are getting taken and killed. But he's making laws stricter and stricter, so that when someone does break a law, he can send them to that island to keep the Wraith safe. That I find is a more whole way of telling this story. Like the canon guy being a dick didn't really add much to it at the end.
Because having chicken pox, rack off.
Yeah,
because even if you are really religious, you know that canon guy's full of shit, because he's like, this guy bears the mark of the devil, and viewers.
Yeah.
On a side note, how good of an actor was that guy?
Yeah,
he was just so pompous and I'm in charge. Like the way he acted
so
it
well.
and talked, how he was like so quiet but just so blasé, like nonchalant.
Yeah,
I loved it, man. I hated him, but I loved hating him.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I wrote that down.
And then Tilk was the Jesus of that world when he rose.
Oh god,
his resurrection.
And they were scared of him running away.
Jesus has risen.
When I first saw the Unas coming, I actually thought that was Sokar. The first time I watched this, and I was like, "Oh, awesome! This is Sokar. He's like the Unas guy." And turns out he wasn't.
Yeah, nah.
Bitterly disappointed.
Yeah,
but they say that Sokar is Satan,
which is interesting because that implies here that Sokar has Unas Goa'uld working for him. The only one we've met prior to this was the one that was sort of locked away in Thor's hammer. So you just kind of like, okay, well, he's been there for thousands of years or whatever it was, so we weren't sure how that was going. But it does then lead credence. It's like, well, the last time we heard from Sokar, he was, he was putting that projection up on our iris to make him look like an Unasi sort of demon.
I think this is why early on I really had troubles with who the hell Sokar was, and I understand Rhys's confusion about who the hell Sokar is, because you've never seen him.
Yeah, and it's like,
they talk about him all the time.
They're really trying to push him. Even this episode, that was one of the first thoughts I thought. They're really trying to push him as the new bad guy. It's like, you've never seen him, but trust me, he's bad news.
Yeah, it's the complete opposite to Apophis. It's like we meet Apophis first scene of the series, and we see what a maniacal evil guy is. And, it's like,
then find out why we should fear him.
Yeah.
After we've already had it proven to us.
Yeah,
really.
and now it's like, okay, well, this Sokar's even worse because he's killed Apophis.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, we haven't even seen him yet, and all we know is that he's got these Unas, and he's posing as the devil, and in the same way that Apophis was the Egyptian god of death, or
I don't think Apophis was a real god. That's something they made up for the show.
Ah, okay.
He's like two combined, I think.
Ah, okay.
Can't remember exactly.
Because Anubis is a real Egyptian god. He's the god of the underworld or death, something like that. And I feel like
Horus is, Hathor is, Set, Setesh, Osiris. They all are.
So it is really interesting that they're sort of doing the slow burn on Sokar, trying to sort of build up to him. Yeah, so I can understand why people. I think I was the same initially. It's just like, oh, who is this Sokar guy? What's a Sokar?
I just like the idea that if we do get to meet his army of Unas, that they're all voiced by actors that we love, like James Earl Jones. There's Teal'c. One comes out and goes, "Hello, I'm an Unas, and let me talk to you about penguins."
See, that makes more sense to Jeremy Irons, because clearly they can only be voiced by black guys.
Okay.
You can't have Jeremy Irons.
Oh, I would take excellent voices all across the board. Jeremy Irons would be...
It's a motherfucking Unas.
Come on, Sokar!
Get the guy who played the main gargoyle in that Disney cartoon Gargoyle. Remember Goliath?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be a good Unas voice.
Oh, yeah. They called the Stargate the Circle of Darkness in this. Remember I mentioned that in Korai?
Yeah.
Because it was the same guy, and then in Korai they called it Circa Kona.
That's right.
I just like the little changes for each culture. Name the Stargate something different. Doorway to Heaven, Stargate, Circa Kona, Chapai.
Yeah, the doorway to heaven and the circle of darkness couldn't be more polar opposite, could they?
Yeah, that's it.
Depends on who comes out of it.
Yeah.
I like Daniel's line. They didn't call it the Dark Ages because it was dark.
Just sassy.
Back to condescending Jackson.
Yeah.
Little moment that really got me was when old mate was gonna drill a hole in his missus' head.
I felt like it was a niece or something. It wasn't his girlfriend. Well, did you guys think that? Or you thought it was his girlfriend?
Yeah, I thought it was his missus.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got confused when you said a niece then. I was like, what?
Yeah, because what did he say?
Didn't he say, oh, she was an orphan?
Her parents died.
And he took her in. I thought that's what he said.
Yeah, I thought that was just code for took her in.
So I'll get back to this heartfelt part that I was talking about.
Heartfelt?
He felt her heart.
Gonna do the Japanning ritual where he drilled the hole in the head, and then Daniel was like, nah, don't do it. And then he goes, well, better she die with us than at the hands of the devil. And I'm like, shit, man.
Yeah,
Like,
good call, but there's a
dance
better
with the
way.
devil in the pale moonlight.
no, I get it, but you see that his the ignorance of his standpoint. He doesn't know that there's anywhere else, any way else. So in his way, this is the better way to go. If I drill a hole in her head, that's the better thing to do. And
Which
I'm
is
like,
probably true though.
yeah. And I'm just thinking, well, what a predicament! Like, how?
Yeah.
Like,
I'd rather get a hole
well, it
drilled in
imagine
my head.
making that decision and she's watching you as you're drilling a hole in her head.
Yeah, and it does kind of tie in with the whole Christianity faith that this planet is based around. It's like, well,
That is bullshit.
well, no, if you're gonna die in the best way possible. Like it's if you,
in the least horrendous way possible.
Yeah, and it's like try and get the best outcome of your death. It's like if you're on your deathbed, confess your sins. Well,
Whereas the Vikings are like, I want to die in battle.
Yeah.
Bitches go to Valhalla.
Yeah.
Give me a beer.
Yeah.
But we get the gratuitous Peter DeLuise cameo. Did we already
The
do that?
demon comes! The demon comes!
Have you not got an audio bit for
demon
that?
No.
comes?
What? No, I just got the picture because I thought the picture was way better.
Oh, okay.
Plus, I figured if I said the demon comes, you'd make some kind of ejaculation joke. So
Brendan. No.
I'm not like that, mate.
Come on, mate.
he's a good Christian boy.
Not that good.
Altar boy.
The only other thing I was going to say was when they get struck by lightning, Carter comes to and soon says he touched his ring before the lightning started. Now, a couple of things crossed
Easy,
my
big
mind.
I'll bet they did.
But what mainly comes to mind is a few of Mitch's ex-girlfriends told me something similar. When Mitch touched his ring, That's when the lightning started.
That's my move. How dare they tell you?
And they
The night was electric.
they only vaguely remember because they were about to pass out when he started doing it.
Mate.
Did you have some housekeeping, Maddie?
Nah.
Okay, well I do. The girl who was, what's her name, going to get drilled in the face was in Watchmen and Travelers. I don't know.
Don't mention
But
Zack Snyder movies in
you
front of
talked
Maddie. We
about-
know better than this.
You talked about Chris Judge voiceover. He's also doing the new God of War game that's out
Oh, yeah.
or coming out.
All right, that's episode 52 of Get Into Gate Demons. Now, we did get off on a little bit of a tangent midway through this episode, as we sometimes do.
Just a wee bit.
This is about Christianity. This whole show is talking about religion and its perception and basically what happens when that ball starts rolling down a hill and becomes something that it was maybe never intended to. So we got off on a big tirade about religion. We're going to put that up as a bit of a separate podcast. It did all start in good faith, and I use that as not so much a pun, but it's got started in good faith talking about this show. So it got pretty.
It got in depth.
Yeah,
I think it
pretty
was.
deep.
I think it was knowledgeable.
Quite insightful.
So you can check out that as a bit of a separate chat. We'll pop that up straight after this podcast here. You can check it out. A little bit of a double feature for this week's Demons chat. Next week we're going to be... Yeah, we're just making more money off this. Oh, hang on. Wait, have we started charging everyone yet?
Yeah.
Or-
What's 50% of zero?
Yeah, damn it. Next week we're going to be
$20
talking
for
about...
8 months.
Next week we're talking rules of engagement. Until then, you can check out all of our old episodes wherever you might find your podcasts. You can find us on the socials, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Get Into Gate, a Stargate podcast, or you can drop us a line, getintogate@gmail.com. Myself, Mitch_Lewis on Twitter and Instagram. Matteo.
At Good Christian Boys on Instagram.
I've been on that. That's not you.
Brendan. Dare I ask, where are you?
Have something I forgot. At the Brendan Gibson on Instagram.
And Rhys.
I am at the Flying Gibson.
We will be back next week, episode 53, Rules of Engagement. Get Into Gate. We'll check you out right down there for more Stargate Sundays. Bye.
GetIntoGeek.com.
Get Into Gate. Mitch here with a little extra episode this week. The full team talked about Season 3, Episode 8, Demons, in our latest episode. And thanks to the religious content of the story, we got off on a very long discussion about the show's mythology, some real-life religion, influences, consequences, and pretty much the good and bad of it all. It is all based around Stargate, but sort of took the focus off the main content of our podcast, but we did decide to keep it and upload it as its own episode. That's what this is, so do enjoy it, and hopefully don't get offended. What sort of timeline have we been working with? The Egyptian gate was lost to the Gould, buried by the ancient...
5,000 years ago.
Yeah, so...
Million bajillion years.
Because that's just where I got lost, it's been buried. So essentially, the Tauri, Earth has been lost to the rest of the galaxy for 5,000 years.
There's an actual date at the end of Season 8. Jack and Daniel are talking about it, and Daniel says... the rebellion that led to Raleigh the Gate was 3000 BC.
Yeah, right.
3000 BC.
Yeah,
So-
what's Christianity? Like, at best, it's about, 1600?
What year is it?
Well, yeah, but they reckon even as a religion, it didn't really pick up for a couple of hundred years
It
after.
was the Bible was written 500 years after Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it
Yeah.
wasn't.
It was.
It was in the beginning of time.
Yeah, they started keeping a notebook, obviously.
Yeah.
Look, the Bible is hearsay. It would not hold up in a court of law.
Yeah, they swear on it
Yeah.
in a court of law.
You swear on the Bible? Yeah.
So anyway, I don't want to bang on this too much.
I'm not to
Oh, you
shit
do,
on,
but you...
not to shit on religion.
But at one point there, Tilt goes, "I do not believe that a Goa'uld could reach the benevolence of your God." And Jack goes, "What, like God? That's a bit what, far fetched or something?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a stretch." I'm like, why is that a stretch? Like if you
No,
look at
everything Jack says about religion is tongue in cheek.
I'd hope so, given that he gave it to Kinsey back in Season 1
Yeah,
when,
that's true.
Kinsey was going on about how God's going to save them
Yeah.
from the Gould.
There's only one God, son.
And you think God is going to save him. Like, he was really
Yeah.
dismissive of that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Because you can tell by he sort of just falls short of rolling his eyes. That's what I've noticed there. He's just like, he doesn't even, you can tell it's sarcastic, but it's very, very dry sarcasm.
I guess it's the difference between, when we as a human talk about, Greek mythology, ancient Egyptian mythology, we put the word mythology after it. But it's like, if we're sitting, so let's talk about Christian mythology.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. It's like you don't go to college and study Christian mythology or anything like that. So maybe that's why Jack was kind of just like, oh God, like, they're trying to be, Apophis and Ra and all that stuff, but there's like someone out there trying to be God? Like, really? Is that...
Well, if an army of a new religion came through and slaughtered everyone that denied this new religion, then we'd have the new religion, and then it would become Christian mythology.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's how religions begin.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Apparently, according to history.
Or you just take a bunch of pagan rituals and say, no, that's got to do with Jesus.
Yeah.
Easily converted.
So I was always thought, like, short of like the apocalypse happening in like hundreds of years, and like all records, official records are lost, and then people have only got to go with what's on paper.
Yeah.
And then you've got what's on the Hindu papers, what's in the Christian papers. Someone else finds a Superman comic and went, holy shit, there was someone from outer space that came here and saved us all.
They drew pictures.
Oh, hail the last son of Krypton. Oh, hail the last son of Krypton.
But like you think if
Kal-El.
official records are lost, all you've got is this written word. It's like holy shit, Like there was a really a rich orphan and an Amazonian and an alien who formed a team to save the world.
It happened. How else did they write it? They were there.
Yeah. There's a movie about it.
And then they pick up an Avengers book and they're like, why did these super teams never talk to each other? They could have solved so many more problems if they just worked together.
And then they do find one of those crossover comics and they're like, oh my God!
It's the hidden text.
Oh my Kal-El!
But I always thought maybe God would have made a good Goa'uld because, like Jack, I haven't read all of the Bible, but I did go to Catholic school, and there is the prologue in the Bible called the Old Testament, and I feel like God was a mean son of a bitch.
Yeah, well, he had all these angels were like, they were warriors. They weren't these lovely saints in robes. They were warriors with flaming swords that came down and did his wrath.
And he made someone kill his son, or attempt to. And a flood. There was a big flood.
Killed everyone
except for
two of each animal.
Yeah.
Fit on one boat.
Yeah, and
Hey,
didn't eat
mate,
each
that's
other.
impressive.
we've all seen Evan Almighty, okay? We can see how logistically it could work.
Yeah, it's
Because
it's
like
the
you've got
Batman
comic relief Steve Carell at the front leading the charge.
There's
I liken that to the Batman Begins, like how it really could have happened.
there's a great page.
Or Rogue One.
There's a great page on Facebook I follow called Philosophical Atheism, and they're always putting up really funny posts. And I've got one here. It says, "Religion, it's just the ultimate hustle. Like, why can't God defeat the devil? It's the same reason a comic book character can't defeat his nemesis. Then there's no story. If God gets rid of the devil, well, there's no fear, no reason to come to church." And it's that. It's like, yeah, well, why couldn't God just take care of the devil and be done with it?
Yeah, you'd be able to.
Once Hitler killed every firstborn male in Egypt just to make a point, then oh, wait a minute, that was your God who did that. I'm always getting those two mixed up.
Wow.
So true.
Here we go, last one. It's like, this is God speaking. It's a little picture of Jesus, and he's speaking. He says, "It's like this. I created man and woman with original sin. Then I destroyed most of them for sinning. Then I impregnated a woman with myself as her child so that I could be born. Later, I will kill myself as a sacrifice to save all of you from the sin I gave you in the first place."
Wrap your head around that.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's like a Lex Luthor Batman v Superman plot right there.
But he told him not to eat the apple. All right, he told him.
Just
not
listen. I can understand, man. I'm a parent. It's like
Yeah.
don't do that one thing. Why are you doing it when I'm asking you not to do it?
Yeah, it's like
Get the fuck out. Get out of the garden.
it's like buying,
Legitimately, get out of the garden and
like-
stop eating the bird food. Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
I just no. You know what? I'm sympathising with God.
It's like
I've
buying.
been there. I've been there.
It's
Brendan,
like-
you've been there.
It's like buying
Hashtag fathers.
buying a bag of lollies for your son, like dangling it in front of his face and going, "You can't eat these. You can't eat."
Again,
It's
I've
like,
done this
why
too.
buy the lollies?
I've given you hunger, but you're not allowed to eat. And nothing happens to you after you die.
Yeah. you're just dead. You're just
It's
dead.
just like you.
If I end up in a coma in the hospital, just send your thoughts and prayers. That's all I need.
Yeah, but
I'll get better.
but you won't know you're in a coma. You won't go halfway to heaven and go, "Oh, pit stop. See if I come back alive."
No, it'll just be like before you were born. You remember that? Nope. No.
Exactly. Stop being scared of death.
Just embrace it. Be happy.
To be honest, like I feel like that's the major
of
major
course.
reason why people are religious is because like what happens after death? What if there is a heaven? I better believe in God just in case there's a heaven.
Well, that's I think
Superstition.
Kevin Smith says it the best in Dogma. He's like, God is basically saying, do as you're told or I'll fucking spank you. Like that's the whole premise of this thing, and it's like, well,
just spank me already.
I think I saw another meme online yesterday, not on the same page that you were just reading off, Matty, but it said something like it was a cartoon picture of a guy yelling at everyone and said, "Worship me so I can save you from the punishment I'll hand down to you if you don't worship me."
Yeah, yeah,
So true.
yeah. It's crazy.
And that's what I love about this show is that just.
But Egyptian
it's
mythology,
not out
that's
and out
way
like
too
just
far.
attacking religion. It's just like, well, what if religion is this, which is kind of the way that a lot of people, atheists or whatever, believe. It's like, oh, well, people have just taken those ideas and ran with it. Like, again, like to go back to another meme, it's like Christianity. It says, Christianity, how one woman's lie to cover up an affair got way the fuck out of hand. And I was sitting there talking to someone in my at my workplace yesterday, and she's, oh, well, Jesus isn't real, and someone, God's not real, and someone else in the room said, well, Jesus was a real person. She's, yeah, and so was Harry Potter, because they're all written in books. It's like, no. There would have been a guy named Jesus, Jeebus, Jesus, whatever, and like hey, I don't know who's true, Homer Simpson or the people who wrote the Bible. I'm just covering all bases.
He
here.
was born 2,000 years ago to Egyptian parents, but he's definitely white.
Yeah, and his best mate's name of Mark and Michael. I get that. But like, there was this guy. People start talking stories about him because he was probably very skilled at things, and then 500 years
his dad was a carpenter, mate.
Yeah. Mate,
who do you think drew the plans for the ark?
He put together a cabinet like no one's business.
Yeah.
But like, if they write this book 500 years after, that's all it is. It's just Chinese whispers at its very best.
And translated by hearsay from like 12 different dead languages. I think they revealed or they discovered maybe 5 or 10 years ago that it's like from a literary point of view back in the day, walking on water meant following the river. Like if you were just walking following the Nile in Egypt, you were walking on the water.
It's like people just okay, now you, Maddie, go tell that story. Rhys, go spread the word. Brendan, talk about the walking on water thing to get out there. What was that again? I wasn't there that day. You go, and you go walking on water. He followed the river. Brendan gets to his village. He goes, he walked on water. Did he legitimately walk on water? Oh, yeah, pretty sure. Yeah, I mean that's what I got told.
I mean,
he was whining. He was whinging. He was whining about water. He turned water into wine.
Yeah.
Do you think though? I know.
I like how I said I don't want to bang on this too much.
Mate, you've opened the floodgates.
I know we're not talking about Stargate at the moment, but do you think there is a benefit to religion, and if so, what? Let's go around the room.
I think if you have a faith and something you believe in it and you need that to be a good person, I think that's great. If you feel the need to inflict your beliefs on other people to make you feel better, that's wrong. If you're willing to...
That sounds like what we're doing.
That's what we're doing to Rhys. We're like Stargate, Stargate. But yeah, if you feel the need to hurt someone or belittle someone because they believe something different to you, I think that's wrong. I can quite happily walk out of my front door every day and not be a douche without having to believe in an invisible sky bully, who's threatening me to be good. Otherwise, I won't get into this.
Well, yeah,
mythical place after the now. It's like that's like telling your kids eat your broccoli and then you can have dessert. It's like and then desserts. There's no ice cream in the freezer.
There's frozen broccoli.
Yeah. So I don't need it. I get some people need something to believe in, but I don't.
Look, the prospect of death is so scary that you don't want to think about it. So if someone says, no, it's all good after, and that makes people happier, then that's fine. I don't think there should be wars created because of a God told you to do something. And I think, like Maddie said, if the idea of religion and most Christianity at least is to be a good person, and that's where the hypocrisy, I can't handle the hypocrisy because the Bible, they just cherry pick
Yeah.
what
Well-
they want from it. And if it's a good thing, then that's fine.
And
but-
the irony being, it's like the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Bible are all based on the same thing.
Yeah.
It's all the same religion.
Well, Jesus is in the Quran. He's actually one of their prophets.
Yeah.
So, which I didn't know. And like my Muslim friend told me that. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's,
So why does everyone hate you?
Yeah,
Like,
and then it's
Hate you.
the Jewish believe in Jesus. They just don't believe he was the Messiah. Like
Yeah.
it's all based around that same faith of what took place 2,000 years ago.
It's the Liberal Party,
But
the
it's-
Labor Party, the Republican
It really
Party.
is. It's different aspects of the same thing. So it's I find that really interesting that people are willing to go to war and kill each other over stuff like that when they're all technically really believing in the same thing. They've just heard the story different.
I don't want to belittle people because they believe something. If that, I did a stand-up routine where I paid out religion and it bombed, and then I felt bad for the religious people, and I'm like, I don't
Feel bad for them,
Yeah,
mate.
like
I've got no, you know what I mean. Like it's like they would feel
Attacked.
attacked personally
Yeah.
because of what they believe, and I didn't enjoy that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If some people laughed, would you have liked it?
If everyone laughed, yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it
So it wasn't the fact that you're attacking religion; it was the fact that no one liked
It
that you
was
were
a
attacking
failure.
religion.
Yeah.
Now you're going to hell.
Now I was like, damn you, God.
You got me.
There's and Mitch, this is probably number 2 for me, but there's a great line from Star Trek and it's DS9, which I really want Brendan to watch. I think you get a kick out of it because there is a lot of religion versus science in there. And one of the characters says, in my experience, people who try to convince others of their beliefs are really just trying to convince themselves. And that's what it is. It's like Brendan was saying, people are scared of what happens when we die. They want that comfort to know that there's something else after that. And it's like, well, if I can get as many people to believe the same thing as I do, then what I believe must be right.
Yeah.
And get a sense of comfort in that.
I don't necessarily think it's that. I think it's that they are so, like, it's a massive part of their life and they want you to be a part of it because they feel something special about it. Like how you got friends that do CrossFit and they all say, oh, come do CrossFit. It's exactly the same thing.
Q, I'm eating this pie.
Yeah. It's the same, I feel it's the same thing. Like,
Yeah, but
they're
I mean-
so wrapped up in it. Oh, this is great. Like, it's changed my life. You should come over and try it. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
good for you, but
CrossFitters aren't knocking on strangers' doors, like going door to door.
Oh,
knocking on
I got a
doors going,
pamphlet.
they are. Yeah. They're in the middle of shopping centres going, hey, you got a second there, sir?
Oh yeah, that annoys.
Cough,
shit
I'm on the
out
way to
of
Macca's.
me. Do I look like I CrossFit? Really?
I'm so hungover. Stay away from me. Like, go away.
Mitch, benefit to religion?
Yeah, no, I grew up with 2 parents who were not religious. Like my dad, his parents, no interest in church, religion, nothing like that. My mum, her mother, my nan, went to church every day. Married my pop when she was 17, never went back again because he wouldn't let her. He was so against it. He said, you're never going back though. So she's been back enough to go to like your weddings, funerals, baptisms, and things like that, but not a regular churchgoer. I am Catholic on paper, and that's what my wife tells me. She grew up in a very religious household, and whenever we go and visit her family who do live in another state, so we make the effort to go down, so we make the effort to go and do a lot of things with her family, and we do go to church on a Sunday. And I feel really bad because I'm never more skeptical about things than when I'm actually in church. And that I don't like that because I'm like, well, now I feel like I'm admitting that through body language in front of all these people that either do really believe in it or are what I'm questioning when I'm there. I'm like, how many of you are here because of what you think you're going to get out of it? Like, well, if I go here and I support this and basically, sign away that I was there on every Sunday for forever, then I will get good. I will have good things happen to me. Like I'm down in the dumpsters financially, but if I'm good to God, then God will be good to me. Or I'm sick, and if I go to see God, He'll make me better, or just I will end up somewhere in the afterlife. I will go to this afterlife place. I'll go to the good one. And so I feel really bad that I'm like that when I go to church, and it's actually created discussions that turn into arguments with my wife a lot, who we don't go to church. She used to when she lived with her parents and her family. Now that she lives with me, I've never stopped her from going. I've told her on many occasions, if you want to go. I'm not going to stop you if that's what you want to do. But I think we also like sleeping in on Sunday, so it's beneficial. But she would like to go to midnight mass on
Do
Christmas.
I sleep in or go to heaven? Oh.
sleep in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every time.
So she wants to go midnight mass. On the as we tick into Christmas Day. For me, epic Christmas Eve is sitting at home, wrapping presents, having a drink, watching Die Hard. That's my tradition of religion on Christmas Eve.
And
really,
I guess
love
for
Christmas.
Sarah, she would probably
It's my favourite part of year.
Yeah. Hate the religious aspect of it.
Yeah.
Love
Well,
the-
I guess
love the idea of it.
your wife as well. I guess she'd probably get more out of it if she could bring you and the kids along and that sort of stuff. That's probably the image she's got in her head, as opposed to her just sort of going on her own. I guess for us, it's the equivalent of going to a movie by yourself or going with friends. It's always better when you go with a group of friends. You get more enjoyment out
And a
of it.
movie's entertaining.
With-
Also,
with your grandparents.
A movie's a lot less, a lot less money than church.
Yeah.
They pass that
I-
plate around.
I always find it
twice.
Yeah, that's what I said at the start.
Just in case you forgot.
Yeah, just in case you found some extra change behind them.
I always find it really interesting when people who never go to church but then they have to get married in a church because they think that's what needs to be done. My sister did that. My sister, she was she was the middle child. So she was the rebel of us kids growing up. She was the one getting into trouble. And then
Nothing wrong with middle child, mate.
and then and then when she went to marry her husband, he's from a Catholic family, and we're, I think, what's the Anglican?
Yeah.
I believe that's technically what
that's
we
what
were
I
born.
am.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, my brother-in-law's church wouldn't marry them because they considered a mixed marriage.
Wow.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, my sister's
yes,
trying to
very.
marry her husband.
Oh,
And so
sweet
she
Jesus.
was just like, well, and she was just throwing FUs all the way out.
Yeah.
And then ended up getting married in the same church that my parents got married in, who got divorced 20 years later. But yeah, I just found it really weird that she was so insistent on getting married in a church when she's never been to a church. What is it, sermon, whatever you want to call it. I don't know the terminologies. But yeah, I find it really interesting that a lot of people, I think, they do things like that because
That's what you do.
yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah,
That's what you're
It's
supposed
like-
to do.
It's like, okay, so every December we get a tree that we decorate and put presents underneath it because that's what we did last year, and that's because that's what Mum and Dad did last year. I find it
Yeah.
very. I mean, I've been living on my own for, I want to say 11 years ago. I moved out of home. I've never decorated my house with a Christmas tree or anything like that because I'm just like, well, what's the point?
Just gonna have
you
to
know?
take it back down. I ain't wrapping my own presents.
Yeah, well, when we were living by ourselves before we had kids, we'd have like a table-sized Christmas tree, and that was enough. But I loved the magic of Christmas when I was growing up, and I've wanted my kids to experience that too. But then they're going to grow up, and then I just remember the first time I realised I was an atheist. I was 10 years old. I was jumping on the trampoline. It's Christmas Eve. I'm like, so is Santa real? My mum's like, what do you think? And I go, nah, just making a joke. She goes, no, he's not. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah,
And then
see,
I
don't-
ran through the list. Tooth Fairy?
Yeah.
No.
Easter Bunny.
Easter Bunny? No.
Yeah.
God? I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know?
Yeah. Hell, all these other magical beings are telling me flat out no.
Yeah,
Like,
because there's adults that believe in this one.
But that's the thing, because Christmas is such a great analogy or comparison to religion and the afterlife. It's like you tell your kids all year, be good for the year, and at the end of the year, you will get presents.
Yeah.
This guy will come down the chimney, and he will leave you presents if you're good.
But again, my mum
And again,
gets-
if you're good your entire life, well, then God will let you go to his paradise land forever.
Yeah, my mum gets really upset when I remind her every year that Christmas is a pagan ritual. It's back in the day. It was okay. Winter is coming. Get it? They would
Tie up the dragons.
You know, the pagans would bring a tree inside to save it against winter. Like winter was, going to kill everything off, so they bring a live tree into the house,
Cut it down.
cut it down to save it through the winter. To
Through the winter solstice.
through the winter solstice, so spring would come and away they went. So I try and remind my mum of that, and she gets so upset every time. Like just so much about it is just, and that's how Christianity spread. It's like they took existing rituals,
Yeah.
Yeah.
applied their own
backstory
and layer to it, and went, yeah, that's fine. You can still have your little, party time on December 25th.
Yeah.
It's like, we have a public holiday here for the Queen's birthday. It's not an actual birthday.
No.
Yeah.
In the same way, Christmas, like Jesus was born, they really reckon in the middle of the year, like June or July.
Yeah, see, I remember I was at school in grade 1 or 2, and it was a very religious school, and they said they're like, oh, Christmas Day, that's, we celebrate the birth of Jesus. I mean, who knows when he was born, probably September or something, and I'm like, I'm 6. Like, give me absolutes at this stage.
Yeah.
Like, tell me, let me read between the lines in 5
Like,
years.
hold on a second. Didn't you tell me back in April that he died and then rose 3 days later? And because of that,
Like, that's definitive.
that's definitive. And because of that, we have bunnies that deliver chocolate eggs for us to eat.
Yeah. And that's
Sorry, what?
fertility.
What?
Which
yeah,
is
again,
actually a pagan
a
ritual.
pagan thing. It's yeah. So it's
For me, what I see is like everyone grows up, whether you're religious or not, you grow up with a set of values, right? And the majority of us just fall into these values or rules or beliefs or whatever you want to call them. And you sort of go through life stumbling and staggering, and then you sort of build your own beliefs or your own values as you go. And, that's why there's some people in the world that turn out to be criminals, some that turn out to be junkies, whatever. And I think the benefit of religion is that they have their own structured belief system. They have their own structured rules to live by, which is what they call it, Christianity, the 10 Commandments. And I think that's why when people, in inverted commas, find religion, I think they don't necessarily find the belief of religion, but rather those structured values of life where they say, okay, I used to rob banks, I used to be a junkie, I used to do this and that. I had shit values, I had a low quality life, and it was a negative life. But these set values that these religions have, if you go from that criminal life to religion, it's the change of values that really helps you find yourself, not God, not Jesus, not the belief system. And just the returning visit every Sunday to church just keeps those values and those beliefs at the forefront, which helps you move forward and become a better person, not because of religion, but because of the structured values.
It's so funny you say that. I'm watching this amazing series on SBS at the moment called The Mosque Next Door, and it actually follows a local mosque here in Brisbane, and it just follows them over a calendar year. And one of their sort of social workers is this big, like, white Aussie guy, ex-bikie. So he's tattooed from like his eyebrows down, basically, massive buff dude. He was a bikie. He was in prison. He did all these things. He's converted to Islam, so he's a Muslim now, and he actually works in the Muslim community, sort of reaching out to the troubled kids and all that sort of stuff. And he talks about how it's the structure. It's going to the mosque every Friday, because at mosques you go on a Friday, not on a Sunday like you do with churches. Friday is their sort of holy day, and he prays 5 times a day to Mecca. I was watching just the most recent episode, and it's like part of their routine is when you're praying, you have to have basically from your knees to your belly button covered. So it's like he's just wearing a singlet and board shorts, but the board shorts don't quite cover his knees, so he puts a little sort of wrap, like a little sort of sarong wrap around his waist so that it goes down past his knees, because he doesn't want his knees to show, because that'll invalidate his prayer for the day.
I think the thing, if we go back to Stargate after this, but the thing for me that I find religion, it's too internal and too selfish. Like, it's based on humans. We were created in God's form. But I always see the universe as a whole, or I try to imagine it, and how small and insignificant Earth is. Even if you see one of those size in reality videos that show you the size of the biggest star, and there is such an expansive universe. Like, if there was a God that created it, it might have been a mistake. And if he did create it on purpose, he doesn't really give a shit about us.
He's not taking attendance every Sunday
to
make sure that you're in church, or every Friday.
But he'll pass the collection plate around.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's validity to the idea that, okay, well, maybe the universe is by intelligent design, and maybe we are just one big science experiment, for an all-powerful being that we can't comprehend. And we're just one little experiment on the outskirts of this sort of Milky Way marble that he's got. Yeah. But to say that we're the only one out there, given the expanse of the universe, I think is a bit closed-minded. Yeah. But
I think it's mainly the uncertainty. Like, there's a lot of people out there that can't live with uncertainty. They can't.
Absolutely.
It's the comfort in knowing.
That's right.
Going,
comfort of having a reason. So, okay, the uncertainty of dying, that scares the shit out of some people. So they need heaven to believe in, so that they're not so, there's certainly a heaven, so that I feel comfortable about that.
Yeah.
I'm uncertain how this world came to be. I feel so uncomfortable about that. God certainly created it. Okay, I feel comfortable with that now. They
Yeah.
need an answer for everything.
Where
rather
does the
than
sun
just
go?
say,
Oh, that's the
Yeah.
sun god goes in and has a sleep, or
Yeah.
the goddess of death or something,
Yeah.
with
I get
why
bog-
people
I get
die,
bogged down-
thunder, anything like that's for me. That's where it all started. Was again people being unable to explain the little things. Like right now in Christianity, we have one God. Other religions, thousands of years ago, we had many because you needed a guide for everything that happened everywhere. That's a good guide because we love butterflies, so that happened.
I get-
Storms. Well, we don't really like that guy because that floods people.
Yeah,
and-
he's angry.
I get
He
lost
sounds
in my
angry.
thoughts sometimes. You go, okay, so what's outside our solar system? What's
Yeah.
outside our
I
galaxy?
do the same thing.
What's outside that, and then what's outside that? What's outside that? And not only that in terms of space, but in terms of time. Okay, so a lot of atheists and we go, okay, well, how did the universe begin? Oh, the Big Bang Theory. Okay, well, what happened before that? And you go,
Yeah.
well, there was nothing before that. You go, well, no, there has to be something before that because how did the Big Bang start if there was nothing before? What was
and
if the chicken
Yeah,
or the
what,
egg?
what
was-
created the Big Bang?
Well, yeah, exactly.
And nothing is a lack of something. So
Yeah.
is nothing technically a something anyway? Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
We can only-
and that's for me. That's where it all comes down to. Is like, oh well, God created everything, and like, when you said, oh well, we're so insignificant, he can't be here all the time. For me, it's like, well, devil's advocate in a way, strangely. If something was big enough and powerful enough to create the entire universe, there's no reason to suggest that he couldn't be present everywhere in some kind of spiritual way. But then I go, okay, the science part of me wants to ask, okay, well then what created him?
Yeah.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
just always been around. End of story. I'm like, no, I cannot,
Well, that's the
I
equivalent
cannot
of
even
what
fathom
happened
that,
before the Big
let
Bang
alone
Theory,
accept
nothing.
it. Yeah,
It's that same thing. It's like you go, well, no, there has to be something.
yeah.
There's no.
There's no beginning, but it's like, well, how is there not? Like,
Yeah.
But I
And
like
that's-
it.
Doesn't the Bible start in the beginning?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
First 3 words.
But I like it how like maybe he's using a black hole to create a new star, and then he's like, "Hey, don't masturbate."
Yeah.
no,
You know what I
don't put
mean?
your dick in that ass. That's not allowed. This is my black
Yeah.
hole that I'm creating.
I created you in my image, but I'm going to impregnate that woman so that I can be born to you.
Yeah. And that's where it gets me to when I guess the short answer to your question you asked me, Rhys, about what I see of it. My mum, even though she grew up not religious, she didn't necessarily find religion, but I think she came to accept it for a lot of people that were around her. And she said people just need to believe in something. Some people need, like you said, that structure and things. And that's how I've sort of taken it. I don't necessarily believe, and the closer I get to a belief system or place of worship, the more skeptical I get. But I understand that people do need that. I just, like you said too, Brendan, I don't agree when people use that belief that they hold themselves individually, that's subtly different to everyone else that's in that same religion as them, to then enforce a particular law or decision on other people. Recently here in Australia, if you're outside of Australia, we voted as a people that we, in the
No,
majority...
we didn't vote. We it was a survey.
It was a survey, yeah, really. So it meant nothing in the end. It's now over to the politicians that we, as a people, 61.8% of us, I think it was, voted yes, we would like marriage equality. Now, my nan, who used to go to church every day of her life until she married my pop, who's a strict atheist, but either way, she still holds to those beliefs. She's just not allowed to go practice it. She voted yes. My sister is gay, and I would like to think that my nan would have voted yes anyway because she's such a wonderful, open-minded, accepting person. Her sister, equally as religious, voted no because it's against what's written in the Bible. And my brother's sitting there laughing. He said he wasn't there when he found that out. He goes, God, I would have given anything to be there to show her a video that was put out by a group on Facebook going, okay, well, let's talk about all the other things that are in the Bible as well. You know, like slavery being the right of a particular person.
You're not allowed to eat bacon.
Yeah.
If you work on a Sunday, you get stoned to death.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to wear polyblends. You can't wear wool and cotton at the same time.
Yeah.
That's in the Bible.
And that's what Brendan said. That's the cherry picking stuff. It's like, well, sure, two blokes can't get married, but the other stuff, I mean, that's just written. But I mean, that's just a guideline.
Seth MacFarlane says actually in the Bible about 3 pages before the scene, the stuff about you two men can't have sex. Shellfish is actually illegal. You can't eat shellfish. So in God's point of view, not eating shellfish is more important than butt.
Which is interesting too, because come Good Friday, when you're not allowed to eat meat, people eat seafood. So it's like, well, how we're going to eat seafood, but for the reasons of the Bible, not eating meat, but we're not
we'll
allowed
eat
these.
some animals, not all of them.
Jeez,
think-
one episode of Stargate about Christianity, and look at us go.
But I think,
Luckily, this is the only one, I think.
And I feel like this has been coming for 2.5 seasons because this whole show really is about religion, and we've had subtle little digs at it as a bit of a joke for a whole year of doing this podcast. But
we've
I
been
think we
given the
needed this as an unleash. Yeah.
definitely.
But I think as the generations go on, there's less expectation to have to be forced into that religious thing.
People critically think more. They think for themselves.
They question their own beliefs.
isn't
And
it-
I think that's the difference, because there's more opportunity with the World Wide Web. You can talk to people on the other side of the world that have completely different beliefs, that don't even speak your language, and you can translate it, whatever. And there's just so many walks of life. You're not just in your local town anymore, going to your local church, and your parents say that you need to be married before you have kids, and your parents say that when you have kids, you need to baptize them. And that was the way that, for the listeners that don't know, Brennan and I are brothers. We grew up in a house that mum and dad really didn't give two shits about religion, but we got baptized as Catholics because that was the thing to do. There was pressure put on them by their parents, and then who had pressure put on by their parents, and it's just that generation gap.
Circumcision is exactly the same sort of thing. It's like, it's just something that it was done, so we did it, you know, sort of thing. But yeah, I was watching. It might have been when I was watching The Moss Next Door, this great series I'm watching, and they say, like, isn't it lucky that all Christians are born to Christian parents? They just happen to be, and all Muslims are born to Muslim. Geez, that's lucky. Imagine if you're a Muslim and you had a Christian kid. Oh God, what are you gonna do?
Imagine if you were in a Christian country and you were born a Muslim.
Oh no.
To two Christian parents. That'd be a disaster.
Oh shit, these Buddhists had a Christian kid. What are they gonna do? So yeah, I do like that people are much more critical thinking now and think with themselves, and
tomorrow, if there was proof that God existed, we'd be like, fuck, awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. All right, let's have a chat to him and see
All right,
what the actual...
circumcise me. Let's go.
Well, I'd just be like, all right, man. Well, let's sit down and break down this book and see how much of it they got right.
Yeah. I'd be like, first of all, how do I get in touch with him? Second of all, why the fuck does he put cancer in kids?
Yeah.
What the fuck is with that?
What are you doing that for?
If you are this huge God Almighty, fuck you and send me to hell. But I fucking hate you. Don't put bone cancer in children. That's all I fucking ask.
Well, all I'd like to say is a big thanks to Carl Binder for creating such controversy in this episode for us to talk about.
Bit of trivia for you. Carl Binder also wrote Pocahontas.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
Hey, mate, you can paint with all the colours of the wind, okay?
GetIntoGeek.com